This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 94. Isn't your whole business a series of funnels? Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. And to help you take immediate action to get started in the right direction if you're new, or build a better real estate agent business if you're a veteran agent, I've created a free jumpstart course for you, and it's sitting waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. One of the most important things there is a free infographic that will set you up so that you can see the difference between vision, strategy, and tactics, okay? freeagentgift.com. All right, in this episode, I want to talk about, isn't your whole business a series of funnels? If you're online these days and you've gone to any site to learn anything about online business, you've probably heard the word funnel. And that can be confusing. And is it even for real estate? Isn't that for online business? These are all the things that I, like you, went through trying to figure out what this all is. And we get sucked up into this vortex of all things digital, and we see funnels as being digital. But the truth is, every business is really like a funnel. And one of the funnels, quote unquote, that I studied or thought about 7 or 8 years ago when I was re-strategizing and getting up above my business as a strategist, a subject that's near and dear to my heart here is, sure, a lot of you have a vision. I get a lot of you are good at tactical work, selling, but do you really get strategic? And to get strategic, you oftentimes have to get up above your business and look down at it in this metaphorical way where you see things moving left to right, like what? Like a Henry Ford assembly line. And that was the imagery that I used. So as I sat back and imagined a better business for myself, I got up above it, and I even have this idea of this glass room where you can, as a manager, strategist, and even sitting alongside the bipolar visionary, the one that wants this so desperately as the owner to work, the two personalities are sitting up there in this glass room looking down at all this technical and tactical work that manufactures something. So I could always imagine that somewhere out at the beginning of this assembly plant for Ford, there were all these raw materials like steel and things that would get dropped off, and they would come in at some point in time and they would be manufactured, and at the far end, they would spit out a car. And I just thought that was an easy way for me to chunk this up. Now, I get it. We're in the service business. We're not in the products business, but it essentially works the same way when you think about it like this. What are our raw materials? Well, it's pretty simple. There's sellers and buyers. And if you're a broker owner, it's agents. Those are your raw materials. There's 3 of them. And you can't do business without certainly the first 2, sellers and buyers, if you're an individual agent. And of course, for all of us that are broker owners as well, you need all 3 funnels. You need sellers, buyers, and agents. So there you go. The entirety of the business is 3 avatars or raw materials. I know it sounds weird to talk about people as raw materials, but again, just stay with me. This is more metaphorical so you can imagine what you have to do. It has nothing to do with being a person for others yet and serving them. That's all good, but I have to get very practical with you because you need a business that works. This isn't some hobbyistic thing. It will swallow you whole. Small business is unbelievably unforgiving. I don't have to tell any of you that are in this business, or any small business for that matter. It's unforgiving. There's massive failure in this business. And I'm telling you, I think one of the main reasons small businesses fail is because there's no strategy whatsoever. I'm not talking some long, detailed business plan. I'm just thinking a way even to think strategically. Even if you were just getting into this business for the first time, to get up above it and say, well, how does it work? Well, it's a good question. So here I am to answer it. I think, as I sit here in my 21st year, I think, of doing this, and about 13 or 14 formally coaching it, I think after all this time, if I will just simply look at it as 3 funnels strategically, everything becomes easier for me. Now, again, going back to freeagentgift.com and going over there and getting your infographic, you can see what I mean as I look at it strategically as the first section of that funnel or that assembly line. Okay, so I said the raw materials were a buyer, a seller, or an agent, right? So we have to find them, and we have to find them how? Well, the first strategy is marketing. We talk about this, right? And this is about doing business with people that you don't know. I always want to make that distinction in case this is the first time you're ever hearing me speak about this, is that there's some weird kind of a battle between those of us out there that have been taught that, oh, I only do referral. What? You have to learn how to do business with people that you completely don't know, that are not dependent on being referred. You need to learn how to go direct to consumer, or otherwise you're really working for what? Your few past clients and these few sphere of influence people who might or might not be doing anything proactively to get you help. See what I'm saying? I love that part of the business. I think it's wonderful too. But I'm not a naive business person who doesn't recognize for 1 second that the best business people understand how to do business with people that they don't know. Look at I talk to my brother about this all the time. He's wonderful at referred business. Fabulous. He's a 10. But you have to learn how to do business with people you've never met before so that you have new past clients, okay? So you have these 3 avatars, and I'm talking about the first one. You must learn how to do business with sellers you don't know, buyers you don't know, and agents you don't know if you're recruiting. So guess what those are the beginnings of? 3 funnels, because they are all a little bit different. Yes, those funnels for manufacturing relationship, which yields the result you're so very much pursuing, they're all different funnels, and they behave a little bit differently, but universally they're the same. Let me prove this, okay? So the first person is this seller. We have to talk about this because it's an inventory business and sellers have the inventory. So you put them at the front and you say, well, how do I market to find sellers that I don't know? Next thing is you drop down to buyers. How do I market to find buyers that I don't know? And lastly, how do I market to find agents I don't know? It's pretty simple. And if you go into the basics of marketing as a strategist, you say, market, where are they and who are they? Message, what do I tell them is unique about my guidance and how do I tell them? That's a key point, not just what I tell them, me, how? Okay, because I'm going to get into that in a second. And then lastly, finally, what medium upon which do I deliver that message, right? In other words, maybe digital isn't the best for sellers. Maybe direct mail is. Maybe telemarketing. See, those are all media choices. Stay with me there, okay? Those are all media choices. They have to be strategically employed to market to sellers that you don't know to get them into your funnel, your assembly line, your process. And you only have a chance at them. There's nothing that guarantees that, right? So once we think about that, we determine pretty simply, where are the sellers that we want? And what do we say to them to get them into the funnel? Now, again, a lot of you have learned this whole lead captures thing in the digital age. So you make this like light offer. I call it light because I think it can now attract just whimsical inquiry. But what's my home really worth? What's your home really worth? That type of an offer, or the standard, what are the homes around you selling for? I mean, it still work. There are still going to be people that are interested, but is that the only way that you should be doing this business? No, not at all. And in fact, I had to learn that sort of the hard way, especially with my mastermind members. Remember, I do what you do before I teach it. So I have to be honest about my funnels. Are they effective? That's a key point here. I mean, you can have a funnel that actually gets leads, but is that effective? Are you collecting whimsical inquiries? I mean, is that the way that you really begin this funnel? A lot of people are still struggling with kicking that bucket. It's like a weird addiction that the internet showed you, oh, you can get a lead. You don't have to call anybody. And all that nonsense about, oh, cold calling is brain numbing and all. Well, okay, yeah. But there's so many ways to telemarket that have nothing to do really with this weird cold call environment that we conjure up in our head. See, a lot of people won't pick up the phone anymore because they're afraid and they don't want to be this barbaric person who picks up the phone and interrupts a person's life. Well, let me tell you something. If you're going to meet people that you don't know in business and begin to introduce yourself, you got to get beyond some of that stuff. You have to get beyond it. But I'm going to promise you, under my watch, you don't have to do it on muscle, get weird, come up with NLP techniques and all that. Do I believe some of that stuff works? Sure, but life is too short for me to build my funnel based on that. If my fundamental foundational piece of how I do business is to serve, to be that person for others, I just go back to the beginning of my funnel and say, all right, the problem is not where are they, who are they, he said, and got all excited, right? Where are they, who are they? It's more so, how do I begin to message to them that I might be the right agent for them? that I might have something that's in it for them. WIFT. Thank you, Dean Miller, my buddy boy, who gave us the WIFT, not just the WIFM. What's in it for them is something in marketing. That's a terminology that makes you think about them. I like what he said. What's in it for them makes you say it that way, right? So what's in it for them when you start to get that message? Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to see all the technology companies that basically hijacked MLS information and did a better job than the industry itself at delivering pictures and details of properties online to people. Duh, that's what they wanted, and those companies did it well. So we have to stop crying in our own soup. Boo-hoo, these companies aren't even agents. So what? They did a better job of delivering to the client or the potential client, the lead, what they wanted. Pictures and details of properties for sale, that sold, whatever it might be. That's what the consumer avatar or raw material wanted. So they got the messaging right. Let's give people really what they want. See, a lot of us rush right down and say, but I know how to help you buy better and get a better. Whoa, trigger. We're not even there yet. So in this funnel, you might be able to identify where a seller is, who they are. And when I say who they are, you could kind of do that by picking neighborhoods and geographies and price ranges and all that sort of thing. That refines your avatar. Who do you want to do business with? But then the next thing is, as you go to message to those sellers, now here's where the rubber meets the road in your funnel. What method do you choose to get sellers? Okay, what method do you choose? So now this is where people just jump to online versus slow down. Think about it. If the message is that you have some guidance, number one, great. Do you have guidance that's organized? Do you have a plan or a strategy? The same way I'm helping you. Do you have a plan or a strategy for a seller? Because that's going to be very fundamental and core to your offer to people that you don't know. I have a plan. You see, marketing, quote unquote, is only part of a plan. Pricing it right is only part of a plan. You see, you need a plan in its entirety. It's simple. I have one that's 7 steps. They're just the universal 7 steps, but I put them in order. And I say, look, let me educate you on the plan. Here's how this really gets done. Now, if you want the details, that's a different deal. I can dive in deeper. But this is the beginning of a funnel. I know where they are. I know who I want to do business with. And I'm prepared fundamentally to give them guidance, but they're not ready for that because it's not what they want. It's what they need. What they want, you better have that in your funnel. You better be prepared to give that to them. So let me give you an example of how I went in my seller funnel in 2019 and made some big changes. When I looked at it, I saw that a lot of my business, like a lot of you, was coming from referred business. And it almost felt serendipitous, by accident. There was no intentional pursuit of people I didn't know. They were coming to me, but sometimes I was scratching my head and saying, I'm not even sure how that happened. Certainly, I had the home evaluation ad running. From time to time, somebody might whimsically come in there. But I really did a whole rethink of my business and said, well, let's walk this walk. And I started to think about the obvious low-hanging fruit that for years has been taught, how to pursue an expired, how to pursue a probate, how to pursue a for sale by owner. And what struck me for the first time was, well, wait a minute. I know the geography, I know the price range, I know where these people are, and I know what their problem is. So maybe I just have to think like them. So I can give them a WIFT, what's in it for them. And I thought, well, if some of these tech companies have been giving pictures and details of property online, why don't I just send it to them? Why don't I go a step further, print it out, organize it around what the value of their property might be, and have that ready to go along with my guidance. So if I have a guidance plan, 7 steps in a magazine format, and I can add some properties and details, and I can throw in a cover letter that's sort of a do-it-yourselfer. Hey, here's what's in here. Here's what it means to you. Here's what you could do with it. Pretty cool. But now I got to get it to them. So does it make sense to pick the media of digital to say, I got a package for you? Or does it make more sense to pick up the phone and say, I see you. I see you got a challenge, and I want to send you something that'll help you. May I do that? Permission marketing. All these terminologies started to come together, and I looked at it as an opportunity to put them in order in my funnel. And we tested it, and it worked. And people said, yes. Am I saying it's easy? No, but it's far better. It's completely intentional. And every day that me and my small team that helps me with our own book of business, Laura and Autumn, every day we come to work, we know what to do because we're jumping inside that assembly line. And each one of us is doing that tactical work in a very particular way because we got up above it and thought about this. And the consumer is telling us, hey, that works. So you see, you have these three avatars who begin these three funnels, and you're starting with these people you don't know, but you have to keep remembering, you got to give the boss what they want when you begin to manufacture relationship early on in the funnel. If I make it easy, and a lot of my own students at the mastermind level will tell me, well, they can get that information anywhere online. Right. Probably if they had tons of extra time in their lives, which nobody seems to have anymore. So what about that service of us putting it together in a convenient package? Instead of them drowning with more information in digital form, what about mailing it out to them? What about telling them it's coming? See, because they're curious about that stuff too. Right? I mean, even buyers who probably are more apt, let's go to that funnel for a second. They're more apt to think about these things online. They'll use this app or that. They're getting confused. They need somebody to come in and edit this information down, add a little bit of insight. So the question then begs in that funnel, how do we crack that code in a digital age? We know that getting leads is possible, but they all of a sudden became littered with really a lot of whimsical inquiry. I have a lot of clients that were drowning in leads for the sake of what? Is that the best we can do? See, I like I've gone back old school. I'll actually spend, and right before this recording, I was at an open house. People say, what? Aren't you the owner? Aren't you the trainer? Haven't you ascended out of that? What are you talking about? For 90 minutes, 2 hours, I get to sit in a house that's priced right, and people are coming through the door left and right with or without agents, and I can make a market for my seller right there live. What a funnel. See, funnel's not all digital. It can be physical like that too. So in my buyer funnel, that's been one of the best things I've discovered. Let me get in the geography where I just got this listing. I'd love some buyers at this price range. I might even like a neighbor to come in who has a house to sell and is curious, and I can be sitting there giving multiple presentations at once. What a funnel. I can't wait to sign up for that tactical job for a lousy 90 minutes to 2 hours and everybody's complaining about it. Huh? I know, I get it. A lot of people make you feel dumb. Well, you should be well beyond that. Oh my gosh, I have so much dang tactical time because I've spent so much strategic. I can't wait to get back out there and keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on. And I love it. It's fun. It helps people. It's a great leverage of my time. So I get to meet in the buyer funnel people I don't know. We get to meet on the phone. You see what I'm saying? So for me, the medium for delivery of the message to buyers is to be there physically and have this package physically ready to give them right there. For sellers to pick up the phone and say, can we send it? It's essentially the same concept inside the funnel, but we just use different medium for delivery. One is the medium of being physically or kinesthetically there with the buyers in the house, and the telemarketing is just incredibly leveraged, where we're able to get people and say, we have this thing for you. Can we send it? And then when they get it and they actually see that, wow, these are pictures and details of properties plus a plan. Holy moly, what a cool thing. And people listen to this now, okay? It hit me the other day when I was coaching this. We've actually been able to turn outbound telemarketing into inbound calls. What do I mean? The coolest thing in the world is when somebody calls you and says, come over and take a look at the house, right? That's the coolest thing in the world. See, and a lot of people are pursuing, but they have to pursue and pursue. It's sort of like this weird, are you ready yet? This is what the funnel sounds like for a lot of people. Hey, we talked to you. Hey, you're thinking about doing something in 90 days? Great, we'll call you back. Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Prospects pursued, run away. Thank you, Dan Kennedy, for that line, because you're not giving them anything. Don't you understand that give the boss what they want is a key point here? I'll give the boss what they want. They want pictures and details of properties as it relates to their situation so that they can begin to see how things are really working when it comes to what matters to them, right? And then you're able to add the next layer of the cake, which is your insight. What do you think about it? What does it mean? Where's the market going? That's insightful stuff. So you give the boss what they want, you add these layers. So you just have to figure out what is the fastest path where a buyer or seller will actually receive from me the information that they want, and what's the best way to deliver it. And I'll warn you, I think digital is fine, But I'm saying if you can manifest that, give it to them in their hand physically or deliver it and then follow up with a phone call, you might be able to do what we've done. Actually have inbound calls coming back. Say, hey, I met you at the open house the other day and I really enjoyed this information. I just want to follow up. That happens. Or, hey, thank you so much for sending this. Nobody even thought to send me something like this. Can you come over and take a look at it? Asking us for the appointment that we're just trying to set up. Funnel. A better way of doing business. But only because we got up above it and thought logically. And I'm not too proud to say, oh my gosh, I put my lunch pail in my hand and my boots on, and as the broker, owner, coach of all this stuff, I go to work. Don't let anybody tell you that's the wrong thing to do. If it's leverage time and I could do other things like do this podcast, then I do it. Okay? Cool. So now the last piece of this conversation here is, as you're building out a funnel and you find these things, stick with them. So many of you are tactic shopping. You hear that Jimmy's having a better result. None of what I'm saying is easy. None of it. It takes work. It takes diligence to build relationship with people that you don't know yet, which makes it a real viable business, not a hobby. So it takes work. But when you see things that work and several consumers are beginning to react similarly, you have something that is a repeatable process. And repeatable processes that bring a predictable result are just the most delicious thing you can find in small business. Then you stick with it and refine it. Don't get me wrong. Watch for the shadow. Ask yourself, will expireds always be a thing? Probates always be a thing? FSBOs always be a thing? Online evaluation, whatever. Will it always be a thing? Where will the shadow come to steal this from me? But stick with what works. And by the way, the key point there is eliminate stuff that doesn't. I can't believe how many of you are just hanging on to stuff that is not getting you the result. You keep buying lead after lead after lead, and if you're diligent in converting and trying to get them and it's just not working, well then consider why not? Because it's probably no longer the tactic. It's the strategic approach in general. And what's wrong with a faster path to real conversations with real buyer avatars and seller avatars? That's how you fill up your funnel faster, right? I think Bruce Lee, I was just listening to this an editorial about Bruce Lee, and it was great. He was just talking about, learning what worked, what was effective, right? It didn't have to be the prettiest leg kick or whatever it was. It needed to be effective. Yeah, I did this and it knocked the guy down. So I kept doing it. And then I used a little bit of my own creativity, but I kept doing it. Eliminate the stuff that doesn't work. Just because somebody told you that they have it working or it should work, we don't even know who's a guru anymore. Everybody with a microphone and a laptop has an opinion. It's dangerous out there. So look at what works by looking at the consumer. So let me go back to these bullet points, okay? Your whole business is a series of funnels. Seller, buyer, agent. But the key is to start with people you don't know. That's how you build a funnel, considering that you must find out who they are, where they are, get a message of how you are different out to them, and then pick the medium upon how you will deliver that message. So for example, telemarketing, direct mail, online, etc. But always start by giving the boss what they want. Your message is kind of a twofold thing. This is what I've learned that's tricky about real estate. They need your guidance. They need your guidance plan. They need your seller plan, your buyer plan, your agent plan. Yes, but they want something else up front. Figure out what that is and deliver it. For sellers and buyers, it's pretty dang obvious. It's the organization of property pictures and details. Be the one that serves them there. And remember, as these things begin to work in a funnel, stick to what works, eliminate the rest, and refine. But always beware the shadow so that you always leave a little bit of research and development or creative time so you can add something else and test it while you're killing with the stuff that really works. All right, to summarize this key point, if you could get up above your real estate business and see it from the top down, then you'd see that it's really a series of relationship building funnels that yield happy past clients who are then more likely to repeat and refer. So build your funnels with care and attention to detail and stick to what works. All right. Remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right direction if you're new to the business, or a better one if you've been around a while, with our free simple business plan. It's filled with just a kind of a visual and then some education from me over at freeagentgift.com. I know that's not necessarily maybe what you want. Hopefully these tips are what you want, but what you need is that plan. So get over there, please. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, he said, so that you don't miss out on any insights each time we upload an episode. We also broadcast our live sales training calls, so if you want to get tactical with me, you can join me over on Facebook, YouTube, every Friday at 1 o'clock EDT. So remember, turn on those little bells, those page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, so you won't miss out on the reminders. Also, we'd appreciate it, please, if you would share our content with other real estate agents just like you so that they get the help they need. I'd really appreciate that. Hey, listen, remember, thank you for your time. I appreciate it, but I want you to go walk away with one thing every time you listen to me. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody. So you have to get to work on your own business, and that starts here, but now go execute. See you in the next episode.